Have you ever had that feeling where you say something in English and you know all the words are right, but it just sounds off? Maybe you talked about your red big car and got a bit of a funny look. Trust me, you are not alone. English is packed with these kinds of hidden rules, things that native speakers just feel out, but can be an absolute nightmare to learn from scratch. Well, in this explainer, we're going to pull back the curtain and uncover those secrets. We're going to dive deep, and I mean deep, into the world of adjectives. We're going to decode the unwritten laws that tell them where to go, and we'll even explore the really surprising power of color in our language. By the time we're done, you won't just understand the rules. You'll be building sentences that sound more powerful, more descriptive, and way more natural.
So here's our game plan for today. First up, we're going to explore the real power of adjectives. Why are they so important? How do they take our language from just okay to absolutely brilliant? Then, and this is the big one, we'll crack the code on the secret order of adjectives, that invisible sequence that makes your sentences sound just right. After that, we'll look at the amazing chameleon-like nature of color words. You'll see they can be way more than just simple descriptors. Then we're going to learn a super cool visual trick, using color itself to help us see sentence structure in a completely new way. And finally, we'll put all those pieces together. I'll give you the tools you need to go out and build your own vivid, descriptive, and grammatically perfect sentences. Sound good? Let's get started. All right, let's just dive right into the heart of the mystery. Take a look at this phrase on your screen. A beautiful, small, new, red shopping bag. Now, if you're a native English speaker, that probably sounds perfectly normal. But now, listen to this version. A shopping red, new, small, beautiful bag. It's clunky, isn't it? It just sounds completely wrong, even though every single word is exactly the same. But why? What makes one so right and the other so jarring? This isn't a rule most of us ever learned in a book. It's one of those instinctive, hidden grammar rules, and today, we're going to drag it out into the light. Okay, so before we can solve that big puzzle, we really need to understand the tools we're working with. So let's jump into our first section, exploring the true power of adjectives and just how they make our language pop. So let's start with a super quick refresher. What exactly is an adjective? Well, the simple definition is that it's a word that modifies or describes a noun. But I like to think of them as detail enhancers. They are the painter's brush for our language. You see, a noun gives you the basic what, the person, the place, the thing. But the adjective? The adjective gives you the what kind. It's the huge difference between just a house and a cozy old brick house. Adjectives are the words that take a simple black and white sketch of an idea and turn it into a rich, full-color painting right inside your listener's mind. And this slide right here shows that power in action. On the left, we've got a perfectly fine sentence. The birds flew out of the window and into the sky. You get the information, right? It tells you what happened. But now look over at the right. The little black birds flew out the window and into the bright blue sky. Whoa! Instantly, a picture just forms in your head. You can actually see it, can't you? Those four little words, little, black, bright, blue, they completely transform a dry statement into a living, breathing scene. That is the power we're going to learn how to control. Okay, so we know adjectives are incredibly powerful. But that brings us right back to our original mystery with the shopping bag. How in the world do we arrange them? This is where we get into the really cool stuff, the secret code. You see, there is a very specific, unspoken order that native speakers follow completely by instinct, and it's time we finally unlocked those rules for everyone. And here it is, the official top secret order of adjectives. Now, I know what you're thinking. That looks really intimidating. But stick with me because there's a surprisingly simple logic to it that makes it so much easier to understand. The general rule is this. We move from our most subjective personal opinions all the way down to the most objective factual qualities of the noun. It's basically a map of how our brains naturally process information. We start with things like quantity and opinion, words like five or beautiful, because those are the most flexible, the most personal judgments we can make. From there, we move to physical descriptions that are observable but can still change, like size, condition, age, and shape. And notice how color sits right there in the middle of it all. Finally, we get to the end of the line with the most essential, unchangeable qualities of the noun itself: its origin, the material it's made of, and its purpose. These last few are so fundamental to what the thing is, they almost become a part of the noun, which is why they have to sit right next to it. So just think of it as a journey, from what I think about this thing all the way to what this thing fundamentally is. Of course, nobody, and I mean nobody, expects you to memorize that entire 11-item list. And that's why some brilliant grammarians came up with this super handy mnemonic, Op-comp. This is your cheat sheet. This is your key to the code for the most common adjective order. It stands for opinion, size, age, shape, color, origin, material, and purpose. Now, while it doesn't cover every single category from that big list we just saw, it gives you the core sequence that you're going to need like 99% of the time. If you can just get op-comp stuck in your head, you are well on your way to ordering your adjectives like a pro. So let's actually put this to the test and see it work. In the phrase, a boring modern American movie, what do we have? We have opinion, which is boring, then age, which is modern, and then origin, which is American. It follows our op-comp rule perfectly. How about a large new rubber ball? Well, that's size, large, age, new, and material, rubber. Perfect again. And one more, a handsome old Spanish gentleman. That's opinion, handsome, age, old, and origin, Spanish. You see, it doesn't matter how many or which categories you use, the sequence always stays the same. This is that hidden structure in action, and it's what makes your sentences flow just right. Now, we just saw that color has its own very specific spot in that adjective lineup, but here's where things get even more interesting. Color words are special. They are what I like to call grammatical chameleons because they can completely change their job in a sentence. They aren't always just simple adjectives that describe things. And this brings up a really interesting question. When you hear the word blue, for example, what is it? Is it a noun that names a concept? Or is it an adjective that describes an object? Well, the surprising answer is it can be both. And, as we're about to find out, it can even be a verb. This table here illustrates the incredible flexibility of color words perfectly. Let's look at that top row. In the sentence, blue is my favorite color, the word blue is the subject of the sentence. It's the thing we're talking about, which makes it a noun. Now the middle row, she drives a blue car. Here, the word blue is doing exactly what we expect it to do. It's describing the car, so it's an adjective. But now check out the bottom row, the leaves yellow in the fall. In this sentence, yellow isn't a thing or a description, it's an action. It's what the leaves are actively doing. In this case, yellow is a verb. It's pretty cool, right? Okay, let's zoom in a little bit on this idea of color as a noun. This happens whenever we're talking about the color as a concept or as an idea in and of itself. So in the sentence, red is too strong, we're not talking about a specific red shirt or red car. We're talking about the abstract idea of the color red. Another great example is if someone says, she vanished into the blue. In that case, blue isn't describing something, it is the something. It's being used as a noun to represent the vastness of the sea or the sky. Now for the role we are all super familiar with, color as an adjective. This is its most common job. When a color word is simply there to describe a noun, just like in my silver container fell. And this, of course, is where our adjective order rules come right back into play. If we were to say, my beautiful new silver container, that word silver would fit perfectly into its C for color slot in that op-SASCHMP sequence we just learned. And finally, we have the most surprising role of all, color as a verb. This is when the color word itself is used to describe the action of becoming that color. For example, the grapes purple under the summer sun is just a really beautiful and poetic way of saying the grapes are in the process of becoming purple. Another fantastic example is the iron gates rust in the rain. Rust is both a color and an action. It's a really powerful and efficient way to use language because you can pack a ton of meaning into just a single word. So, we've just seen how complex the words for colors can be in grammar. But what if we could flip that idea completely on its head? What if, instead of analyzing the word color, we used actual colors as a tool to help us understand grammar? Well, there's a powerful system designed to do exactly that. This system is all about one thing, making abstract grammar visible, tangible, and so much easier to understand. As you can see from the key here on this slide, the way it works is by assigning a unique color to each part of speech. Nouns are always red, verbs are always blue, adjectives are always green, and so on. What this does is it turns a regular sentence into a visual pattern. Now, for anyone learning a language, this is absolutely huge, because instead of just trying to memorize a bunch of abstract rules, you start to actually see the relationships between the words. You begin to intuitively understand how all the different parts have to work together to build a correct sentence. Let's start with the absolute foundation of every sentence, red. In this system, red represents the nouns, all of the people, places, and things.
And this also includes proper names like Maria and pronouns like he or they. They are the who or what of the sentence. I want you to think of the red words as the solid ground, the essential pillars upon which the entire rest of the sentence is built.
Okay, so if red words are the foundation, then blue words are the engine. Blue represents the verbs, all the doing words like run, thinks, or is swimming. They provide the action, the movement, and the energy in a sentence. Without a blue word, all you have is a static list of things. A verb is what makes something actually happen in the sentence. It's the engine that drives it forward.
And here, my friends, we come full circle. Green words are our adjectives, the star of today's explainer. They are the describing words. So in a phrase like the big ball, the word ball would be colored red because it's the noun, and the word big would be green because it's the adjective. This system makes the job of an adjective visually obvious. Its whole purpose is to attach to and add delicious detail to our red nouns. You can literally see that the green word's job is to give you more information about the red word it's sitting right next to.
Okay, that was a lot of theory. We've cracked the secret code of adjective order, we've seen how versatile color words can be, and we've even learned how to visualize grammar itself. Now for the fun part. Let's put it all into practice. How can we use all this knowledge to actively build better, stronger sentences for ourselves? One of the most powerful tools for doing this is something called a sentence pattern chart. It's a really simple, hands-on way to practice all these grammar rules we've been talking about. Basically, the chart breaks a sentence down into its components, with a column for each part of speech. One for adjectives, one for nouns, one for verbs, and so on. I want you to think of it like a menu at a restaurant, where you can pick one item from each column to create a brand new, complete, and, most importantly, grammatically correct sentence every single time. And the best part is, it's incredibly easy to use. Seriously. Step 1. You create your columns. You can make them as simple or as detailed as you want. You could even have separate columns for opinion adjectives, size adjectives, and color adjectives, followed by a column for nouns. Step 2, you just fill each column with a list of words you know. So your opinion column might have beautiful and interesting, while your noun column has cat and house. And step 3, you combine them and write. Just pick one word from each column, moving from left to right, to build your sentence. This super simple exercise forces you to practice the correct structure over and over again, until those patterns become second nature. So there we have it. We've journeyed all the way from a confusing jumble of words describing a shopping bag to the deep underlying structure of English. We've discovered that those hidden rules of grammar aren't random at all. They're actually logical patterns based on how we see and process the world. We've seen how color can transform its role within a sentence and even become a tool for learning grammar itself. The biggest takeaway here is this. Language is a system, and once you can see the patterns in that system, you gain the power to create. So the question I want to leave you with is, now that you have these tools, what will you build? What beautiful, complex new sentence will you create?
You are doing great. Don't stop. Subscribe and watch the next video.